Namaskar, Swamiji.
Namaskar, Bishal Karna ji.
Welcome to the Spiritual Context Podcast. It's wonderful to have you with us.
I also am very happy to have you with me now in this way,
so
serving the
my
spiritual cause.
yes. So my first question, how did you first get interested in spirituality and the spiritual pathway? When did
My,
it begin for you?
my mother and father, I'm the only son to my parents without any siblings. But my mother and father were very spiritual and they used to practice these spiritual values and they used to discuss these spiritual subjects like Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. And that influenced me a lot. And even before I am born to them, they were very much spiritual. My mother's grandmother left everything and went to Himalayas and then had some experiences and then came back as a spiritual teacher in those days.
Hmm.
Very, very rare that they accept women also as a teacher, very rare. So she came back as a spiritual guide and teacher, and she educated my mother, who is her granddaughter, not her daughter. Daughter was not interested in spiritual, so granddaughter was interested, so educated. And then my father also was spiritual. That is one thing. Another thing is, after my parents' marriage, for many years they did not have any children. So they had a connection with a great realized master by the name Darga Swamiji, and he assured them that you will beget a son, but he will not follow what you want him to do, but he will follow my way, my path. So if that is agreed, I will bless you. So they agreed and he blessed. And they say that I am born because of that blessings. After that, right from my childhood, always whenever I met this Darga Swamiji, always he used to remind me, tell me that you are born for a different purpose. You will have to do my work. You will have to carry my teachings. So he used to say, I never used to understand all that. He used to say, you have to take this spirituality to other places. I never knew. I thought he's joking or making fun of me. Only when I become a youngster, then when I started understanding that inside me also there is some inclination to this kind of spirituality, then I started recognizing what he is saying. Thereafterwards, I came across, because of my father's inspiration and encouragement, Swami Chinmayananda. And then I learned the spirituality under him as well. Then afterwards, then I understood, because of Darga Swamiji's guidance, I now have to follow what he said. That is where he reminded me. When I was telling you as a child, you were thinking that I am just joking with you. Now it is the truth. You go ahead, you do, and you have to spread the message. Go ahead. I will take care of all the blessings that are required. So like that, Darga Swamiji and then Swami Chinmayananda. And of the late, of course, Dr. David R. Hawkins. So this is how I was inspired into spirituality by my parents, by Darga Swamiji, and after I became a youngster, by Swami Chinmayananda. Even though I had connection with all these masters, but it we understand the spiritual divinity of the each master depending upon our maturity. So I took time, in spite of my connectivity and contact with them, but it took time for me to realize that they are divine. Understand at least intellectually that they are divine.
What was your first experience meeting Swami Chinmayananda? Where was
And
that and how did it come about?
yeah, my father only was a regular devotee of Swami Chinmayananda. He used to take me to Swami Chinmayananda right from my very, very young age. But for me to understand what he speaks, see, like that, many kids go and meet Mahatmas, but they may think that, great Mahatma, somebody, parents are telling that you have to go and meet, that's all. But when I became a youngster, then when he took me and made me attend his talks, then I started understanding, oh, he is very good in English, he is logical, he is scientific, he explains spirituality very nice. And then that started pulling me to him, because these spiritual masters have a charisma, a spiritual charm which pulls you, which makes you fall in love with the people. just be in love with the personality, not knowing anything, but just you feel that you are attracted to the person because of the divinity. That made me get connected to Swamiji. And then later on, I saw how unconditional he is in his love. He so purely unconditional. Even somebody who's very close to him says, I don't want connection with you, I have to be away from you. He just loves the person, he just cares the person, he just inquires about his safety, well-being, all that, and then he gives permission. Like that, I could see what unconditional love is in practice, in implementation, in manifestation. That's what made me get deeply connected with him. But for all this, my parents are the cause, because they were connected to him. In fact, my father made me move closer to him.
What was you're a monk now, and I believe also an acharya. What was your education and training like as a monk and as an acharya?
There are various ways in which I was trained. Right from my childhood, Darga Swamiji was the one who was telling me, teaching me many things. And my mother herself was a good meditator, where she was meditating for a couple of hours. Even sometimes the breath also not used to function for her, like that kind of samadhi state she used to experience. But slowly, slowly, she also started telling me. My father also started giving me very good scriptural books and insisting that I have to read them, I have to understand them. And this kind of push was there. And later on, Darga Swamiji is always there. And then when I uh, took training as designed by Swami Chinmayananda ji, I learned under another master, Swami Purushottomananda, who taught me by being there with us all through couple of years. And then various kinds of scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, like Upanishads, and like various other Prakarana Granthas, various kinds of things were taught to us. And then we were told that this is only a learning. After that, you have to practice it, implement it. So that is how Swami Chinmayananda used to tell, and Darga Swamiji used to tell, talking is easy, but practicing is very important. Simply you talk, it will not touch the people. You have to live it, practice it, contemplate, meditate, and then give it out, share. Then it will have an impact on others. So you are having a light in your head. Swami Chinmayananda used to tell us that just because I taught you, you have not attained anything. You will attain as per the will of God. Right now, your duty is to serve the society, serve the community, and do your service to the best of your capability. Like a person who has no eyesight carries a lamp on his head and going in a dark forest. It may not help him, but it helps others not to clash with him, that light of the lamp which is there. So people like you who are taught here are like that. They have the lamp. They may not utilize it. They may not be matured enough to utilize it, but others will utilize it. So slowly, slowly, you will also become capable of experiencing the light, and they also experience the light. Ultimately, you will understand one day by the will of God what is light. Darga Swamiji also said the same thing to me. Just don't give empty talks. Live it, practice it, and then give it out, share it. So that is how these masters have helped me to live a spiritual life and then learn something. And then I came across few other masters also. When each time when you meet a master, you learn something. Something, a divine spark will illuminate in us. It will touch us. Like that, when we meet the great masters, we keep learning. Like when I came to Dr. David R. Hawkins also, I could see the so much of divinity that is present in him. In fact, on one occasion, because of his merciful blessing, I was just there where there is nothing moving inside me, nothing moving, just stand still, just in that state of no motion, no movement. Because Master's presence sometimes is like that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And you mentioned in, I think in the interview with Fran Grace, you mentioned that Swami Chinmayananda told you to surrender the fruit, self-realization, to him. And to continue practicing, but to surrender the self-realization. It is up to him and not up to you. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
And I ask also because in myself, as in others, I see this wanting to become enlightened or wanting to become self-realized. And that brings about a certain impatience and then a certain grief that I'm not there yet. So can you talk a little bit about what it means to surrender that?
Swami Chinmayananda ji wanted to bring about a change in the value system of the people. Because when people practice values and become integrated, they become pure souls. Their presence will add to the peace and success and happiness and prosperity of the society. So, in order to bring about that change, like Swami Vivekananda thought he needed 100 Nachiketas of Kathopanishad to bring about a transformation in the world because of their love, his love for the world. He wants that world to improve in its levels of peace, happiness, and love, and helpfulness, and success, and all that. It's like that Swami Chinmayananda also said, I want to bring about this kind of change, and I want young volunteers with me. Like Nachiketas of Vivekananda, I want brahmacharis, like monks, as an army of my spiritual army, so that to bring about a change. So you should not think about anything else other than following the guidelines that I'm setting forth for you. Just serve, just love, and just serve. That you have to assimilate this knowledge, then practice it, study it, practice it, and then share it with others. And be normal with others. So that when you are normal, without any special kind of insistences and demands and then wants and wishes, he used to say, don't desire anything. What you desire, you will get it. Deserve to get them. So, like that, if you are a simple person with all this kind of knowledge and practice, then you will be able to take this to the world, to the people, and they may get inspired and they also become influenced by it and they may start practicing it. And then this way, the world becomes a better place to live in. The levels of consciousness will improve as per Dr. David R. Hawkins' assessment and explanation given to all of us. The few integrated individuals, when they are together, the whole place will get more evolved, divinized, purified, more of love, more of happiness, like that. So that is how he used to say, uh, just practice, just preach, just go ahead and serve the society. That is how we were inspired by that. As a youngster, I was inspired by this kind of ideal, which touched my heart. So we said, let us go for it. Let us not bother about it. Let us leave it to God and Guru, and they will take care. When it is time, you will get it, he said. And our other spiritual masters also said the same thing to me. So don't bother about that. Just keep doing what you are doing and follow what the teachers are telling you to do. And leave it to God, leave it to the Guru. They will decide when the time is right. They will tell you what is needed at that particular point of time. Like Dr. Hawkins also has said, when it is time, you will listen to that guidance. You will get that guidance. Person may not be informed, but internally you will get the teaching from the Guru, and no matter what, go straight ahead. Don't fear anything. Move ahead. Like that kind of guidance, Dr. Hawkins also got it. Like that, we also get such guidance. And at that time, it is left to the divinity. That's why any great, genuine, realized master only says, I attained because of divinity, divine grace, not anything else. It is not an effort that I have put forth effort and I attained it. Effort I can put forth as a practice, but ultimately it is only divinity that bestows this kind of attainment to us, where there is no one to attain. The ego disappears, the ego vanishes, and then there is the attainment. So there is nobody to attain that. Once the person who is wanting to attain, desiring to attain, disappears, then the attainment happens. That is why in Adi Shankara's philosophy also, two kinds of things are said. One is, one master says, I attain that. When the I dies, another master says, people may not be comfortable because all the while they carried this I. When you say the I dies, you will attain that, they may not be comfortable. So I say, I merges into that and becomes that. Like salt doll going and merging in the ocean, it becomes that. There is no more doll identity. Both the ways. Whether I vanishes and I become that, or be as that, or I merges into it and be as that. All that happens only by the grace of God. But to become eligible to get that, we have to put forth the practice continuously, regularly, persistently, keep on practicing as taught by the spiritual masters, then it happens.
What is God, Swamiji?
In my view, God is everything that we see, know, and experience in this entire creation. That which is God, and that which is creation is not different from God. In fact, in other words, anything and everything is nothing but God consciousness. And God also is the inner presence in every living being as an antaryami who is present inside me as the very conscious presence, enlightening and illumining the mind, intellect, memory, ego, equipment. So, there is nothing that which is not God. This is what is my view is. And God is full of love, full of compassion. And God wants always to be for us, with us, guide us, uplift us, encourage us, support us, and show unconditional divine love for us. That's what I feel.
So what is what meant by Maya in Hinduism?
It is called as an illusion, principle of illusion. And in other words, it is said as the power of God, which is not disassociated with God. It is God's own power for the sake of manifesting the many in the one, making the whole creation appear in that non-dual principle which has nothing else other than itself, that is divinity. So out of his own power, he or she, whichever manner we may refer God as, creates the whole universe, all universes, galaxies, solar systems. That principle or that power which is assisting God because of his own will is Maya, in short. In other
So
words, it is also called as ignorance, which is called as avidya, which has called as which has got powers of veiling and projecting, avarana and vikshepa. It veils that divinity from us and it projects the whole world in front of us. So we start thinking that we are not belonging to God, we are other than God, we are separate from God, we are separate from divinity, we are different from the consciousness, and we have got the world in front of us. We are being given sense organs, and through the sense organs, we perceive the world and sense objects. And we get into relation, we get impacted by it. We think that alone is real. We are involved with it. We are identified with it. We are attached to it, and we are with it. Only when we get some jolts there, some reversals there, and at that time we start thinking, am I this or is there anything else? Is this identification real? Is this attachment real? Is this impact on mind real? Then I want to go in search of something which is not impacted by the world, not influenced by the experiences, something which is more peaceful, something which is more happy, something which is more joyous, something which is more loving. Then we go in search of God. Then we try our best to get out of the influence of the Maya, but it is not possible without His grace and His blessing. Of course, our effort is required, but more than our effort, it is divine grace and blessings which can help us to understand Maya and to get out of the impact of Maya only because of God's love and grace and mercy.
so you started out by saying everything is God. All that exists is God. But on the other hand, we don't experience God in everything. Instead, we experience things. We experience a mug, and we experience computer, we experience this body, and separate from your body, your mind. And all these are, you're saying, Maya. Maya is appearance, Maya is projection, that makes us see something separate, distinct. So is the spiritual endeavor in Hinduism then to somehow free ourselves from Maya, to realize that God is everything, or everything is God?
True, but in one state, as a spiritual beginner or a practitioner, to me, understanding Maya is necessary. But at the same time, to a great divine master who has crossed over this Maya, for such a person, God alone is, and there is no Maya also at that state. Because what exists is only consciousness, and it is only the divine power. And see, our experience means it is through our mind, through thoughts, through feelings, through emotions, and it is through sense organs, and it is through antakarana, which is mind, intellect, memory, ego, equipment. So, the essence of the experience itself, that because of whom we are able to experience, one who makes us know about our experience, that because of which the very experience is possible, is consciousness. Without me being, you being conscious, we can't even know what we are thinking, what we are experiencing. So, that essence is beyond our experience, beyond this experiencer, which is called as a limited ego, and what we are experiencing now, the names and forms, that which is behind the names and forms, that which has become the names and forms, that which is the essence of names and forms, is God. So without names and forms, we cannot think, we cannot experience, we cannot perceive, we cannot know. That is why sometimes we see God in name, in form. So that is why all these names and forms are not different from, like energy. Everything else is nothing but energy. When we go into quantum physics, everything else is subatomic particles. Subatomic particles is nothing but energy. And this energy is everything. And even now, when you are sitting on your chair, I am sitting on my chair, these chairs are also, according to quantum physics, in 1 by trillionth of a second, because the subatomic particles are appearing and disappearing constantly, our chairs also at subatomic particle level are appearing and disappearing. But we cannot see that because our eye has not got that capacity to see it. Similarly, when we see a movie in olden style, then the film is run at a speed of 1 by 16th of a second, in which we see all the photographs as a continuity, because our eye cannot catch that speed. Similarly, we are not able to see the presence of God because we have not equipped ourselves with that kind of purity of mind and clarity of our understanding, which is possible only through spiritual practice. I don't see my great grandfather now. That doesn't mean I do not have great grandfather. So I do not see God. That doesn't mean there is no God, there is no divinity. I am not equipped myself to see that, experience that, feel that, know that, and be with that and be as that.
There are a couple of threads I want to unpack. One, you said that God is that which makes experience possible. God is that which knows the thoughts and knows the feelings. And I think this is something that many spiritual practitioners, including myself, run into. We look for God in thoughts and feelings, in sensations, in thoughts, and in feelings. But God, it seems, is not to be found in sensations or thoughts or feelings. But God is that which makes them possible. So how does one find God if that is so? Because we can keep looking for God in our feelings, to feel God in certain way, like we feel emotions. We can keep looking for God in our thoughts, like concepts and intellectual ideas. So how and where does one find God within oneself?
In expression of love, when we are able to feel that love, express that love, experience that love, and that love itself is the presence of God or divine. So, that love we cannot see through our eyes. We can feel, we can experience, but at the same time, we cannot prove that love. We have to only be in love and give love and get love and to feel that love. So, same way, God is not different from love. In fact, God is love. Love is God. So, everyone may have differences in every kind of concept or theory related to God. But as far as it is the question of love, everybody agrees to this, that love is the ultimate thing that we want in life. In fact, everything becomes pleasant, happy only because of love. If love is there, we can focus on our work because of our love and excel in it. If love is there, we can make the relationship very precious and valuable. And because of our love, we can serve anybody and everybody. Because of our love, our relationships also become magical, because love makes all the difference, whether it is being with ourselves, just be remaining as myself, or being with someone else. Love makes all the difference possible. So God as love can be felt, can be experienced, and God also as selflessness can be experienced, because these things will give us so much of immense joy, satisfaction, and contentment when we really love somebody without wanting anything in return, expecting anything in return, desiring anything in return, not even a thanks or not even a gratitude. That is godly, that is divine. Another way, it is said, in relationships, if we can consider our father as God, our mother as God, our teacher as God, like some great saints said, consider a beggar also as God. See God in beggar. Meaning what? When we are able to bring that godliness into our relationships and convince ourselves that this is God's presence inside that person which I am seeing, not the body, not the internal organ, and not anything else, but except that which is behind behind which is the illumining principle. If I convince myself intellectually, then I don't get affected by all that modifications and changes that happen at the physical level, mental level, emotional level, intellectual level, memory level, but I get connected to that which is at the spiritual level. Then intellectually also, through contemplation, through contemplative meditation, we can silence that intellect and mind, and in that silence we can feel the presence of divinity. So through feelings also, in love, in selflessness, in compassion, we can feel, we can experience godliness and God and divinity, and in silence also we can experience the God and divinity.
This brings us, God as love brings me to Christianity. So let me say something, and you can tell me if you think this is a correct understanding. So I really love teachers like Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta Maharaj, Advaita teachers from India, and Ramana Maharshi in particular says the world of your perception is illusory, and instead of looking for God in the world of your perception, which we are calling Maya, he says, turn and ask, who is it that is even looking? Who is it that is even looking? And that will bring you closer to consciousness awareness itself. But then Christianity very strongly emphasizes God as love, and that Christ has become manifest. Christ is God, become manifest in time and space. So from the Hindu Advaita perspective, time and space are illusory, but from the Christian perspective, no, Christ has become manifest, is present, even in time and space. And to me, the two of them together are reconciled by love, that even in a dream, even when I'm dreaming, and the entire world of the dream is illusory, but even in the dream, the presence of love is there. And when I feel the presence of love, even in the dream, I'm feeling something real, something true, something of the ultimate reality. Is that correct?
See, there are two ways to understand this. Even in Vedanta also, even in so-called Hindu religion also, what is mentioned in Sanatana Dharma also is God is both Nirguna and Saguna. God is beyond time, space, and objectivity, time, space, and causation, desha, kala, vastu, paricheda, rahita. And at the same time, he takes form also as Vishnu or as Shiva or as any other avatars, which Dr. David or Hawkins also has said that the infinite consciousness is born as Krishna also. The same infinite consciousness has manifested as Jesus also. So, like that, avatars are manifestations of that consciousness in time, in space, as a form. That doesn't mean that they are different from that consciousness. Because we, as human beings, or various other living beings, we cannot experience that state of absolute nothingness or consciousness. So the divinity, out of compassion, infinite compassion for us, to make us feel the presence of divinity, which is in love, with whom we can relate, we can exchange, we can talk, we can interact, we can experience, we can ask, we can say. So we need that kind of divinity for us. So that for that sake, that divinity takes birth as Krishna, as Jesus, as any other great avatar. And another thing is, if I say that divinity is that very consciousness in me, that which says, I am that supreme consciousness, like Aham Brahmasmi. So I go deep into myself, letting go of the world, letting go of the entire thing that is other than I. And finally, I get back to that. But at the same time, if I see everything is God, the form is God, the name is God, the thing is God, the flower is God, the animal is God, the tree is God. So I see godliness in everything. There, I as an ego gets dissolved, and the other as the divinity remains. So through that also I reach the consciousness, making you as everything, or making I as everything, and letting go of this you as illusion. I reach that state of consciousness. Both are the ways, through external and through internal, through you or through I. So one is connected with the relationship, another is connected with letting go of our relationship and being with oneself. So Ramana Maharshi also is advocating the same, or any great devotee also is advocating the same. Thus, as Dr. Hawkins has said, Jesus also is nothing but infinity in manifestation, and he wanted to uplift people to salvation. Whereas in some other religions, there are attempts to uplift to liberation. So, depending upon the people and their level, that is why the masters respond to the people and their levels, and they deliver their teachings and guidances. I hope this made some sense to you.
Oh, yes, of course. I grew up in Nepal, and growing up, we would watch these televised productions of the Puranas in Hinduism. And all these stories of gods, Saguna Brahman, Shiva's story or Vishnu's stories. But on the other hand, we would also hear a lot about God is not in form. There are no attributes, Nirguna Brahman. And this was always like a paradox in my mind. How can God be both? How can Shiva and Parvati and Ganesha and all of that be true, and at the same time God be formless, attributeless? But what you are saying is either way, either pathway leads to the same ultimate realization.
Yes, God is both. God is Nirguna also, propertyless, nameless, formless, and God is with form and with name also. It is his choice. He can be both.
Mhm. One last thing before we switch subjects here. So you said in relationship. So we can find God through love. We can find God through selflessness, selfless service. We can find God in relationship by this conviction that the person that I am with is God, has that divine essence. Does that also mean that I see everything this person does? For instance, um, with a friend, everything my friend does, all of their behaviors towards me, as being done by God. To see God in that person, does that mean that I see everything that they do as being done by God?
We can see and understand that the essence is God in everybody because the presence is God. But the mind is different, the physical structure is different. And the mind has its own attitudes and behaviors and likes and dislikes and choices and preferences. And because of this, we may not be able to see God when our friend or our relative expresses all these kinds of things at the level of mind. So, there we have to tell ourselves that this is only an appearance in divinity. This is only an instrument that is there with the individual. And that which is behind the instrument is more important to us and more real to us than these things. So, this way, we can ignore and let go and excuse and forgive if we don't like anything in that mind or in that expression, in that behavior or mannerism, and not get impacted by it, not get affected by it. Yet, in our side, inside ourselves, remain very positive and very divine in outlook towards the person. Suppose if it is unbearable, we can move away from that connection or the presence. But at the same time, without hatred, without ill will, without negativity, we can still connect with the essence of the individual, tell ourselves internally the divinity is there, externally there are limitations and shortcomings. We need not bother about it. We can either move away from it or be there and excuse and forgive and test ourselves whether we have that infinite love and unconditional love and compassion for the person. Choice is ours.
So seeing God in everything or in other people does not mean that we think everything everyone does or everything that happens in the world is being done by God, but rather knowing that beyond the level of appearance is the divine essence.
Yes, that
And
is true. Beyond the level of appearance is divine essence. But see, somebody like great realized master, that realized master does not see these personalities, these minds, these internal organs or antakaranas. That in the great realized master sees only divinity. Even though he is interacting with the human being, he doesn't notice or recognize them. He doesn't value them. He sees only that. But you and I, we are yet to reach there because of the divinity, grace, and mercy. So we do see these impacts upon our mind, our personality, about others' expressions and then views and opinions and behaviors and comments, all that. So for us, we need to practice value system and along with all kinds of divine teachings that are given to us and remain unaffected and one day by God's grace reach that level because of the mercy and will and plan of God.
Swamiji, how did you discover Dr. David R. Hawkins? Many people go to India to find spiritual teachers, but you seem to have found Dr. Hawkins in America. How did that come about?
See, I started coming here 25 years ago to continue to do my service as a spiritual teacher. Then, in one place in California, somebody who brought some food for me to serve me said that that person came across calibrations of masters in 2001. I said, what calibration? What does that mean? So there is a master who calibrates these things and then says when a person is at this level, that level, and all that. Then I asked, well, who is that name? What is the name? And by that time, only one book was released at that time. That was Power versus Force. No other books were there. So then I called up my friend on the East Coast and said, please, can you buy this book for me? Can you place an order for this book? And then he ordered and gifted it to me. Then I started reading it. Then I understood this is something which is very different. Then slowly, as the time passed by, Dr. Hawkins started releasing book after book after book. So I started getting that book and then read it, study it, contemplate it, discuss about it, and sometimes meditate upon it. And then I wanted to go and meet, attend his seminars and all that. Then I understood because I already had this previous exposure to spirituality in India, and I also got trained and learned under great masters. Then I understood what Dr. Hawkins speaks and what the sacred Upanishads speak, both is one and the same. Both are one and the same. Totally one and the same. And Dr. Hawkins, when he speaks from his live experience. He doesn't refer a book, he doesn't quote from anything or borrowed teaching. It is his living, he brings it out. So that touched me. Because what I already studied and contemplated and understood and practicing, here is a master which is bringing these things out in a unique way, in a different way. The presence used to make a huge difference. And once when I asked Dr. Hawkins that in India, in scriptures, it is said that when an individual contemplates and meditates on the scriptural truths, some sentences are there like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayamatma Brahma, Pragnanam Brahma, like that. There are some sacred statements. If you contemplatively meditate upon them, it is said that one will attain that ultimate reality. Adi Shankaracharya says like that. So then I asked Dr. Hawkins, if I contemplate upon your teachings, your statements, will I attain the same thing? Will anybody who contemplates on our teachings, does he or she attain the same thing? Then he said, yes. That was the greatest assurance for me. Master directly telling me, yes, it is possible. So that is very rare that somebody to tell like that, that yes, these teachings are there. If you contemplate and meditate, you shall attain that. Very beautiful. That kind of convinced guideline, very rarely we come across. Very rare. So that touched the core of my heart. And afterwards, I started reading more and following him more, and then attending his seminars and discussing about these things and gifting these books to many people. So that I felt that this is the something which is very unique and sacred. We need to share this knowledge. And I started understanding more of Dr. Hawkins' teachings and started merging them with the subjects that I teach, so that I feel so elevated when I start these kind of discourses or these kind of spiritual sessions by contemplating upon Dr. Hawkins' teachings, which are actually not different from the highest spiritual truths, which Indian scriptures also say. We feel transported to a very high level of dimension, and it inspires us. And from there, if we interact and communicate, it touches others also, all because of the grace of the masters and grace of God.
Mhm. Earlier, you talked about this experience you had where you internally came upon a state where all motion ceased.
Mm.
It was an unmoving state. Can you talk more about that? What was that state like?
It happened after being in the presence of Dr. Hawkins and interacting with him for a quite good amount of time. Then when I came out of that place, I did not feel like interacting with anybody, communicating or talking to anybody. I wanted to remain just with myself, quiet and just with as I am. I just sat down and then remained quiet. And it was a kind of sucking and pulling and absorbing my mind into something which is behind the mind. It is just like somebody or something is drawing me into itself. It might be a pull of consciousness because of the divine satsang with Dr. Hawkins. It was a personal appointment that I had with him along with few members. So because of his presence, because of his blessings, I felt as if I am absorbed into something. And there I remained like that, where I am, there is no movement of mind also. There are no thoughts also. Nothing is happening. I'm just there, just like that, just aware of it. I can't say anything about it, just I was there like that. It had happened for a quite some time. Then slowly, because I had people with me, around me, and then I had to interact because I came along with that people to meet Dr. Hawkins personally at his residence. So I had to interact. I have forced myself to interact with them. So this was a very unique experience, which you cannot tell about it, but I can just say that this is how it is. Everything absorbed into that silence. I was just there in that quietude, and it was so quiet, and it was so peaceful, and so contentment was, so much of contentment was there, and there was some kind of absolute silence experienced inside me.
What does your daily practice look like now? Do you practice? What do you
Yes,
call
daily
practice?
practice. See, for the sake of being agile, I will do some little bit of yogasanas because I learned it when I was a college student, and that I will practice. Not much of them, but as much as sufficient to keep myself little alert and then agile. And pranayama, I do practice. Breathing exercises are there, which I've already learned many, many years ago. And then I do practice the contemplations upon the sacred teachings. I will do contemplate, then I will do meditate for some time. Then I will also do some mantra like Nama Japa, which my masters have told me to do it. So, like that, these are various things that I do every day. And also, I do uh, some time I spend in Vedic chants. So that I would like to chant for a while, like important suktas, like Purusha Suktam or Rudram, like that. And then with that chanting, I again sit quiet with that, and then again go deep into myself. Like that, all these practices I do regularly because my masters have told me practice is necessary, practice is a must. Only then you will be able to do justice the role that you are playing, that you are doing. So I enjoy these practices. I am so happy with these practices, which makes me feel that I am connected. And then when I go out and interact, this helps me to keep up my spiritual energy at a very good level.
So is it morning and evening, or?
I do it in the morning, and for a couple of hours. It goes on for 2 to 2.5 hours. I would do that. I will enjoy that. And other times when I am giving any spiritual talk or any doing any satsang, that also is like a practice for me because I am again contemplating in my mind and sharing the same thing with others. Again, one more time I am doing the sadhana. I may not do yogasanas and pranayama, all that, but I will do this kind of contemplation. And evening also, when I am going to give a satsang, when I am going to give any spiritual session, my teachers have advised me, do some spiritual practice for a certain reasonable period of time and then go and give that satsang. So that that spiritual fervor is there in what you share with others. So that also I practice. That I do at least for half an hour. I do some kind of spiritual practice which silences me, quietens me, and tunes me to the within, and then I go and share it. So this is how my routine had been uh, for these past 35 years. I am in this spiritual field. So this is how it had been. Of the late, I am more deeper and deeper into these things, probably because of the age, probably because of all these experiences that I had. Now I go more wanting to go more deeper into myself. As a youngster, you have got so many outlooks, so many goals, so many pursuits. You have to do this, do that, achieve this, achieve that, prove this, prove that. Now I understand all that doesn't make any bigger sense. So we have to be what we are, and we have to share what we have in love. And then as a selfless service, rest all will be taken care by God and the gurus.
When I want to ask more about contemplation and meditation. So can you walk me through how you would maybe take a line from the scripture or maybe one of the Upanishadic Mahavakyas, Aham Brahmasmi, and how would you contemplate that? What does it mean to contemplate that statement?
Like for a student, the statement that is taught is Tat Tvam Asi. Thou art that. So, what is that? That is nothing but consciousness. And what are thou? Thou are, in essence, only consciousness. If you take away all the layers that are there, the physical, the mental, and all other things that are there, the body and the antakarana, mind, intellect, memory, ego, equipment, which is called as internal organ. If you take away all this, then what remains is that essence. That is how both are at the level of the self, at the level of the consciousness, one, but not at the level of physicality, at the level of consciousness. So that way, there are certain pointers by the great masters of non-dualistic teaching like Sureshwaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya and his disciples. Like, though I do contemplate upon those things and I keep on thinking about them and then excluding all other thoughts, just be in tune with these spiritual, beautiful pointers. And then slowly, slowly, the number of pointers become lessened and then they merge into one pointer. Like that, you remain there. in that kind of contemplation, it is very, very elevating and very nice. And after that, when even this kind of contemplation also is not required, that will end up in meditation, where this kind of holding on to one particular thought also is set aside. Automatically, sometimes it happens by itself. Then you remain in that state of silence where you don't want to do even this contemplation. You just remain like that. And it helps you to know that beauty of what is inside us. So, this way, contemplation and meditation, according to my understanding and my practice, that is how I differentiate between both of them. So
So,
it gives us so much of spiritual enthusiasm and inspiration and energy to move ahead in spiritual path.
so contemplating tattvamasi is not thinking about it, and you're not thinking about it
Yes.
analytically. You're
Holding on to your thought, holding it for a longer duration. Initially,
does
few sentences, finally ending up in one sentence. Because of that clarity that we get through that analysis, we hold on to one sentence, then we remain there. That kind of contemplation I practice.
so does holding on to that thought mean repeating it? The same thought,
Yeah,
tattvamasi, tattvam.
in a way it is repeating. In another way, it remains there like an image is there. You hold on to that image. You see a symbol of Om or a symbol of cross. And then you close
Mhm.
your eyes, you hold on to that image. That image stays there like that. Like if you look at a beautiful full moon and close your eyes and then picturize that moon inside, that moon stays there. We cannot call it as repeating, but holding on to the image.
Mhm.
Repeating is initially like a mantra, Om Namah
Mhm.
Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. It itself can take us to realization. So that repetition is japa. But when you hold on to that steadily for certain period of time, that kind of contemplation. And then even when that attempt also is not there, that also is silenced, that is meditation according to my view.
This is a question that my brother, who's in Nepal, and my friend, who's in Australia, they both wanted me to ask: is how can and how can one continue that kind of one-pointedness of mind throughout the day? Because they're both very busy. They're both doctors, and I'm busy. And how do you, as you're engaged in the world, doing things, teaching, attending to patients in their case, how can you continue that one-pointedness of mind, holding on to the presence of God throughout the day? And how can you persevere in that?
I would like to say that I am a spiritual practitioner. I am following the guidelines given to be my masters. So, one thing I understand is like a mother takes care of the baby and at the same time takes care of the cooking also, cleaning also, attending to the husband also, attending to the other children also. But at the same time, in one corner of the mind, the attention is there upon the baby. The baby may cry, the baby may move, the baby may want my presence. Like that, if we understand this kind of a relationship, this way we have to hold on to some kind of understanding, if possible, or some kind of mantra given to us by a guru, or awareness of consciousness being present either in the heart center, or in the eyebrow center, or in this center, or any other center, or some kind of internal observation of breathing. There are various kinds of ways, especially Bhagavan Parameshwara taught to Bhagavati Parvati many meditative techniques. And like that, these techniques are later modified and then promoted and propagated in various ways by various masters. So we can try to follow any one of them. So which makes us an anchor. We have to anchor our mind to something, whether it is a mantra, whether it is a idealistic scriptural statement, or whether it is awareness of one center inside, or whether it is thinking that, contemplating upon the truth that, this is the essence of the divinity. Like that, various ways we can try. Sometimes some people even practice awareness of physical presence also, that when they are walking, they become conscious that they are walking. When they are sipping something, they become conscious that they are sipping. Like we can interchange these things initially as a practice, as a help. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can utilize all of them. And slowly, as we progress, then we automatically by grace divine, we hold on to something which is pulling us, taking us more deeper and deeper into ourselves, and yet at the same time in our world interactions, reminding us time and again to keep focused on something. That is how by practice this happens. Slowly, slowly by practice, by grace, this develops into a continuous anchor, which is not easy, but not impossible, but it takes long time for us to do.
After so many, at this point, decades of practice, Swamiji, do you find that it's gotten easier for you to
Slowly,
be?
slowly, as we continue to practice, things become easy in handling, in understanding, in adjusting, in accepting. It doesn't mean I can honestly tell I am not in that state of absolute realization. I am waiting for things to happen, but I am not restless about it. I am just practicing things like any other spiritual person. So I can say one thing. I have seen many masters also who told the same scriptural text, what they understood in the beginning of their spiritual journey, after few years, they understand more depth of it, more layers open up. After 10 years, after 20 years, after 25 years, after 30 years, different layers open up. That scriptural text or spiritual truth is always the same. But when we become more matured, when we become more pure, we can go deep into that layers after layers and reach innermost layers like that. So our spiritual practices for many years slowly will bring us the ability and capability to go deep into these truths. Same thing will reveal deeper things, will take us into more divine experiences, more revelations. So revelation, layer after layer, things can happen to us. This I have seen for myself. Then I have seen from various other masters also, when they shared their experiences with me, that the same thing gives a different experience.
Do you find that as you're going about your day, maybe talking to people, watching TV, eating, do you find that the mind is quieter, or do you find that your focus is still on the thoughts, or is it more and more naturally towards the silence?
All these things I watch very less of the TV, and when I am interacting with people, when I am exchanging things with people, of course these practices that I am doing will help me a lot, will definitely time and again will take my mind into that kind of conscious awareness, even though it is not 24/7 continuous, but again and again it will go back to that state, and that is helping me a lot. And every now and then world also teaches us a lot and lot, especially people. The changes that happen in the external world are the teachers. Immediately they bring about the reality to surface. Any changes I see, and if they are not conducive or pleasant or not according to the value system that is taught by the scriptures, because of the compromises in individuals, because most of the people do have compromises because of various reasons, then at that time all such occasions, again it will go inside to understand the reality of the nature of the world and the changes that are happening. Changes are there externally, the changelessness is there inside. Every change outside will take us more deeper into that changeless, towards the changeless inside. That's how the world also will teach us. People also will teach us. Our relationships will teach us, educate us. So everything in this creation, if we have that attitude to learn and to get taught, it will start teaching us and taking us more and more into ourselves.
What is meant by karma in Hinduism, and how can the understanding of karma aid in our spiritual pathway?
I understand that every thought, every word, every deed is imprinted in the consciousness, and that will remain like that forever. That is where people like Dr. Hawkins also can go back into any time period and calibrate whether that particular kind of expression, experience, moment, or person is integrated or not integrated, or what level it belongs to. So all these thoughts, all these words, all these deeds that I do, they have their results. Certainly they have their results, meaning they come back to me. If I do good, that good comes back to me. If I say something bad, that bad comes back to me, whether it is manasa, vacha, karmana, thought level, word level, or deed level. Another thing is, to understand it more easily, when we sow a seed, it takes time for the seed to sprout and become a plant and then become a tree and then bear the fruit. And we can enjoy the fruit, whether it is grains or fruits or flowers. So, like that, every action that we do, it needs some time to experience the result. Like we study for the examination, we write the examination, and then the result comes. There is a time element in between for everything in this world, everything that we do. So, in that time element, after the action is done, before the result is attained by us, in that time gap, previous karma will come and interfere as per the guidance of the God, decision and choice of the God, or God's own ministry, if you have to understand it that way. So, if what I have done countless number of karmas. Suppose, for example, I say 10,000 karmas I have done. And then out of that, 100 karmas are helping me to take this birth. In that, which 100 karmas come? Which 100 karmas, at what time they manifest? I don't know. It is all the will of God. So when I have done an action, before I am experiencing the result as a success or a failure. So what I have done previously, if it is a meritorious deed that God wills that it should come and interfere, then the result will be more than what I expected, more than what I imagined, more than what I desired. Oh, great success, unexpected, unimaginable. I am thrilled to feel that. And sometimes previous demeritorious karma comes and interferes. Then what happens? And it becomes lesser than what I expected. It becomes loss. It becomes failure. It becomes let down. I feel cheated. I feel deceived. All these kinds of experiences will come. So whether it is a profit or loss, honor or dishonor, heat or cold, success or failure, so all these kinds, praise or censure, all these kinds of things, they happen in our life to clear us, so that we get cleared from our karmas and we become pure in mind, pure in heart, and pure in everything. So like that, we can understand that whatever we have deposited, that only will come to us ultimately. And one of the spiritual masters says, no doubt, according to Hindu mythology, it is Brahmadeva who writes on our foreheads what is the thing that will happen. But even for that writing also, what you did only will help him to write in that way. So as he says, like you tell an architect come engineer that how your house have to be constructed. So you tell all thoughts. Then he will sit in his AutoCAD and design, and then he will build the house for you. Then you say, why this room is here? Why that room is like that? You say, it is all because of you. You told me. Then I brought it out into this, in this manner. Like that, our body, our mind, our relationships, our experiences, our health, all these things are connected with karma. So we will be influenced by this karma. But ultimately, when we transcend this by absolute realization, then karma will not affect that individual who attained that realization, but body will continue to exhaust the karma.
So say I have an illness. I receive a diagnosis for an illness. In that situation, how can I use the understanding of karma, as you said, to clear or to purify, rather than to create or generate more negative karma?
In such occasions, we need to become more and more prayerful, more and more devoted, seeking the healing energies from the God through prayer, and more inclined for spiritual practices. Of course, in addition to the medical advices that the doctors give us, whether it is allopathy or Ayurveda or homeopathy, whatever we may like, or natural medicines. So we need to have those medicines. At the same time, this kind of healing from within is more and more beneficial. Like we attend some spiritual satsang, we follow some spiritual guidance, and then we ourselves keep our mind very, very pure with all kinds of divine teachings, divine exposures, whether it is music, whether it is spiritual practice, whether it is reading, studying, meditating, contemplating, all that if we keep, like that, that will bring us into the merciful aura of the divinity, and God will send his healing energies, and we will be blessed with healing and recovery. And even if it doesn't happen also, we become very highly matured, and so that we let go of the body and we move ahead in our otherworldly journeys.
Mhm. Related to karma, I've been contemplating, is the right word. I've been contemplating Krishna recently in the past many months again, and um, I find Krishna to be, well, first in contemplating Krishna and thinking about Krishna and Arjuna, and I felt the longing, very deep longing, to have Krishna as Arjuna did, as my guide, as my charioteer, as my Sarathi, to have Krishna. And I prayed in my heart for that, and not a voice, but this knowingness came to me, that articulated as, proceed with absolute conviction that I'm with you always. Move forward. Proceed with absolute conviction. I'm with you always. But Krishna, I find to be, at one level, we know Krishna, Buddha, Christ are the same essence, but at another level, there is a distinctiveness to them. And to Krishna, there's this distinct emphasis on action, that you have to act, that everyone, even Krishna, has to act. Everyone must act. So given that everyone has to act, how can we discern right action?
We cannot remain without action, even for few seconds. Everything inside us also is continuously involved and engaged in activity only. Action is a must. Definitely we have to act. And in that action, if we can keep the ideals as the guidelines, guiding factors, these higher ideals that are given to us, like being selfless in our action, and being thinking of welfare of others because of this action, and also thinking that best should come out of me in service of the society, community, nation, world at large. And that process, I also become more and more inspired, more and more enthusiastic, more and more energetic. So this kind of activity will help me and everybody around us also to get more and more evolved, become better individuals, become or create certain more facilities, more opportunities, more nice conducive surroundings and circumstances, like for the progress of individuals, society, community, nation. All this is possible only when we involve in action. Only when we mature into that highest state of silence, then we remain quiet, actionless, also is possible. But there are certain realized masters, while acting also, they are aware of their actionlessness inside. They are so evolved that they are continuously conscious of that presence of divinity, yet they involve in actions, like Sri Krishna. Whole life, he taught us how to be selfless in continuously engaging oneself in actions. Because Karma Yoga also takes us to that higher state. Bhakti Yoga also, through devotion, takes us there. Jnana Yoga also, Dhyana Yoga also. But it is said by some rare masters, all these take us to that penultimate step. In that penultimate step, you need to get that direct teaching from Guru, from some previous births, or some great rishi or some great spiritual master will come to your aid and will give you that ultimate teaching, because of which you will attain. So ultimate teaching is again the teaching of absolute knowledge, which is given by the teacher or God in the form of teacher, whatever it might be. So that is where the last step is taken care by the jnana, by the teaching of the master. So that is how things will happen. So Karma Yoga also, it will take us there. And definitely, it will help so many people in the society and community also. If I practice these nice ideals along with my actions, then it will become a blessed place. At least around me, I would have created very conducive atmosphere for people to feel comfortable, convenient, and prosper.
We talked earlier about Maya, and if perception is Maya, and I'm necessarily limited in my action by my perception, then why act?
See, perception is told to us that we have to use this X factor. Like in mathematics, they use X factor to arrive at a solution. Like that, to arrive at that divinity, because right now, in this present state in which I am considering everything as real. So, to teach me to disassociate with that attachment, with that likes and dislikes, which are so thick in my mind, and I'm attached to it, and I feel that without it, I can't survive. If things doesn't happen according to my insistences and demands, I cannot be comfortable. So, because of that, I am taught to consider this as a Maya and then come out of that clutches. Come slowly, withdraw from that, be detached from that. Like Dr. Hawkins says, being detached means if it happens your way, good. If it doesn't happen your way, it's even more good. Doesn't matter. So that is how we have to move ahead in life. So for that sake, we this kind of theories are taught so that it will help us to move away from this too much of bondage with the world. And after we get out of these bondages, attachments, and slowly we go deep more into us and reach higher levels, then the same teacher will come and tell, now start seeing divinity everywhere in everything. Now no more Maya theory functions there. Everything is nothing but God. Everything is manifestation of God. Everything is an expression of God. Everything is God. So that way the masters say. So it depends upon where I am. If I am in this side of the spiritual path, thinking everything is real, everything is should be according to my desires, whims, and fancies, I need this kind of theory, practices, detachment, vairagya to move away from it. But ultimately, after that, I cannot be away from the world because blessed teachers, realized masters, great spiritual avatars, they come again into the world and serve the world. Even though they know that their world is not different from them. But the people are thinking that the world is different. That is why they come and serve and play their part in the world. So this is how we have to balance ourselves.
And I also know that you've studied Gandhi and written a book about Gandhi's values. And Gandhiji had a profound impact on me as well. And I took a class on him during my undergrad. It was one of my first religious studies courses and profoundly changed my life. And Gandhiji, after studying the Bhagavad Gita, arrived at the conclusion that the ends do not justify the means, that means and ends have to be the same, right? To find peace, each step of the way, you act peacefully. And more recently, I'm studying the Mahabharata again, especially the battle, the 18-day battle of Kurukshetra. And in that battle, it seems to be the way Krishna functions. It seems to be, I know I'm incorrect, but it seems to be that ends do justify the means. That for the Pandavas to win the war, Krishna does all kinds of things, including, for instance, the case with Aswathama. He kills an elephant. He has Bhim kill an elephant named Aswathama, and then announce that Aswathama is dead, which makes Dronacharya, Aswathama's father, drop his weapons and get on the ground, which makes him vulnerable to be killed. Otherwise, he could not have been killed. So when he drops his weapon, and now he can be killed. So it seems to be the case that Krishna employs means which, at least on the surface, don't seem to be absolutely truthful.
See, one is dharma and another one is dharma sukshma. Let me tell you one thing. Bhagavad Gita was taught by Sri Krishna in the battlefield. And another person again to carry the teaching of Bhagavad Gita in the similar situation is Mahatma Gandhi. Because he made people get inspired by Bhagavad Gita to such an extent that when the policemen were coming, charging at them and breaking their skulls and breaking their bones, don't react to them. Don't have the attitude of revenge towards them. Accept it. You are dedicated to the freedom of the nation. That ideal is more important. See yourself in them. Even in the policeman, also see only yourself in them. Accept it as your service. So that kind of a teaching, by remaining in the midst of the battlefield, that also is a kind of battlefield only, where you are protesting, but they are coming and hurting you, hitting you, and where you are teaching people to remain quiet, silent, non-reactive, no likes and dislikes, no condemning the faction, just to be there and get hit and move away. Another person comes and stands there, they get hit and move away. See, other people can talk about Bhagavad Gita sitting comfortably on the stage or inside the room, air-conditioned room, all that. But there are only two personalities. One is Sri Krishna, another one is Mahatma Gandhi. Both are same, actually. So, but what happens in Mahabharata is, see, there are dharma sukshmas that are there. Point is, Dronacharya himself had lot of ragadveshas, attachment to his own son, and he wanted to see to it that entire family of Drupada, who was his friend, who challenged him later, he took it as a challenge, want to be killed, completely extinct. So being a person of highest level of living, he cannot have those things. Another thing is, Sri Krishna knows one thing very clearly, that he did not plan and go and tell Bhima to kill Aswatthama. In the Moola Bharata, according to the great masters who teach about this, they say that in the Moola Bharata, at that point of time, Bhima came and told that he killed an elephant. Like now we have got so many pets, we give names to the pets. That time they used to give names to the elephants. So one elephant by the name Aswadhama got killed. And then at that point of time, Krishna gets this thought inside his mind. This can be utilized by Dharmaraja especially. Why? Because there also Dharmaraja is given an option. See, Dharmaraja says, how can I do this? How can I tell this? There the facility was given in Sanskrit language that you can say the truth, but say the other word quietly, say this more louder. So the Aswatthama is no more, bit louder, and the elephant is gone, but he is there alive in a very silenced manner. But he speaks the truth. Then Krishna asks, see, do you want your image to be more greater, or do you want dharma to win? If dharma has to win, you have to let go of your character identification, that I am a person of character where I don't speak anything which is not okay, and then just forget about it. Then he also questions, in that manner, you would not have accepted the invitation to play the dice also, which you wanted to do, you did. But now you say that my character is becomes questionable. Doesn't matter. He exhausted it later. He had to go to hell. He had to spend some time there to clear that karma. Of course, that is different. But this way, Sri Krishna made the people do what is right according to Dharma Sukshma, which is called as more subtle form of Dharma, which is not like grosser form of Dharma. So he guided them because he saw to it one thing very clearly. He convinces Drona also. He convinces Bhishma also. He convinces Karna also that what practice they are doing is against the Dharma, is incorrect. So they all have convinced themselves. Even Bhishma also, he only goes and reveals that actually according to the Bharata, he only reveals. See, nothing is happening. For 10 days he fought. Only one person died, which is Uttar Kamara in the Pandavas side. Kaurava said hardly anybody died. Like that, it can go on for eternity. If Bhishma is there, he will not kill Pandavas, he will not kill anybody, he will not allow anybody to kill them. It can go on. But the war has to end. The result has to come. The new generation who is following righteousness has to take over. The righteousness has to rule the nation, rule the country. So that is the goal of Sri Krishna. Righteous people should be at the helm of the affairs. So that is why he interacts with Bhishma. Bhishma himself reveals actually. Externally, it is said Pandavas went and asked about the secret of Bhishma's Ichha Marana, how he will die because of Sikandi, because of his previous karmas and all that. But the point is, Bhishma himself reveals it because he knows he is against the dharma, he is siding adharma. So according to his understanding also, dharma has to end. Willingly, he contributes to how he should be defeated. So it is out of his will. So like that, Krishna convinced everybody. So if you go into these subtleties, then apart from stories, to go deep into it, then we will understand righteousness only was the only thing which Krishna held on to. He sided Pandavas not because they are relatives. He sided Pandavas because they are right. They are following the righteousness. That is the thing. Mahatma Gandhi also wanted to follow what is righteous. So, to order to guide people into that, Krishna utilized the moments that are manifesting from time to time in order to guide them towards the righteous path and righteous victory.
I think if I understand correctly, the distinction you're making between dharma and dharma sukshama is the distinction between a moral principle, right? You should always speak the truth. That's a moral principle. And the distinction between how it can be applied variously according to changing contexts.
Yes. Let me tell you one thing. See, somebody is chasing a woman. Somebody is chasing a woman to rape her or murder her or plunder her, whatever it may be. And then that person rushes, runs away, and then hides in my house. Suppose comes and hides in my room. At that time, should I go and say, this woman is here, you come and do whatever you want to do? I don't say that. I understand the situation. Then I go and if somebody comes and asks me, so I don't know about the woman. There I might not be speaking truth, but it is to save and protect one woman from getting outraged or from getting harmed or like that. So depending upon the circumstance and situation, we can go into dharma sukshma according to Sri Krishna. For the sake of the welfare of others, not for my personal aggrandizement or my desire satisfaction. It is for the good of the nation, good of the righteousness, good of the world at large. That's all I understand. I may not be right, but I understand it this way.
That's exactly what makes it seem like the end justifies the means. Because for the sake of something that is right and honorable to protect a person's life, then I may distort the truth slightly.
Yes.
That's
that is selflessly done for the sake of protection of others.
Yeah. So let me the example perhaps is, for instance, the same rules that apply when you're fighting in a boxing ring don't apply on the streets.
Yes.
Because the other person is not playing by the same rules. Now the parameters have changed, so you have to change accordingly.
Yes.
To fight well on the street is very different than fighting well in the boxing ring. That's one. And two, I have come to understand more and more that, so for instance, even in the case of telling the white lie to protect the person's life or to protect this woman, I'm still subject to the karma. It's like willingly taking on the karma of telling a lie in order to subserve a greater cause. So it's not that it's without karmic consequence, but I'm willing to take it on. And perhaps therein lies my selflessness, that I will take this on to myself. So I am aware of the karmic consequences of it, but I will take this on in order to protect something greater.
True. Let me tell you one, if you have 1 minute time.
See, yes, of course, we have a lot of time.
See, it is said in Sri Krishna's life that once he got a headache. It is there in Bhagavatam also. It is there in Garga Samhita also. So when Sri Krishna got a headache, so then it was very difficult for everybody around to handle how can he get a headache, how to relieve him of this headache and all that. It seems it is told by Sri Krishna that the dust of the feet of the devotees who are in total love with him, if that dust is applied on his head, then the headache will vanish, go away. Then at that time, his wives were not willing to come forward. My God, I will get a sin if I allow my feet's dust to place it on the head of my husband, who is a divine personality. So hardly people came forward. And it is told, it is gopis of Vrindavan, especially guided by Radha, who said, doesn't matter, we can go to hell, we can face Naraka, we can go through the negativities of experiences in the hell, doesn't matter, but we want him to be relieved. So we have no problem in giving the dust of our feet and place it on the head of Sri Krishna. Take it and let us go and suffer there, but we, out of our love, want you to be relieved from it. What a kind of love is this? They are conscious of their karmic consequences. They are willingly agreeing, but for the sake of seeing the beloved, their utmost choicest beloved, going through that pain, they want relief to him. So they willingly accept that karma and do that. How beautiful it
Mm,
is.
mm. Yeah. Um, I also ask because, well, the implications of it are far-ranging, but on the spiritual pathway, I think at least early on the pathway, when I had this when I became aware of this inclination in this lifetime, I thought, well, that's the goal, and my goal is a virtuous goal, self-realization, and it doesn't matter like the path. I had the thought that it wouldn't matter how I got there,
Yes.
or the people I hurt on the way, that my parents would get hurt if I don't do according to what they want me to do or pursue this path, or it didn't matter if my friends got hurt, so nothing would matter. I can one-pointedly, doggedly pursue this. But on the other hand, I'm also now aware that no, I cannot sow seeds of strife and pain for others and find love and peace for myself. The the means and the end have to be the same. Um, in everything I do, I have to be loving in order to discover that infinite love.
Masters have practiced it both the ways. There are some masters who sacrificed their families and they convinced them, they educated them and left them, and then attained the highest spiritual truth, then came back to love them and then do service to them or uplift them, whatever it might be. So, point is, if my goal is to become more pure, more evolved, which automatically brings peace and comfort and security and happiness and enhances its levels in the world at large, not only in my family, but in my interactions in the society, community, everywhere. So that is the best goal to pursue. Initially, some difficulties might be there for our people. Like when I wanted to take up this path, my father is ready, but my mother had little inconvenience that she had her only son cannot become like this. Then again, I went to my teacher who came, held her hand, and convinced her that don't worry about it. Your son will still be in contact with you. You can be with your son. He still works for me and takes care of my spiritual work. So that kind, so she underwent, but she accepted it. Like that, if we are taking a decision on spiritual path to become pure, to become evolved, this is the best service that we can do to the world, because we become a better individual. Everything else around us also will start enhancing to that level of purity or spirituality. So of that sacredness. So that is the best path we can follow. Whichever teacher we follow, it doesn't matter. Whichever religion we follow, it doesn't matter. As long as we are integrated and we are following the integrated teachings, genuine teachings, we can move ahead. Another thing is, if we see as a byproduct of that, outcome of that, we love more of our family members. Even I have one of my disciples who also was objected to by parents and all that. But later on, after the disciple started practicing this path for some time, then the parents also felt comfortable, convenient, happy. Okay, you're doing good service. Initially, we thought, it is a very bad distraction and diversion and all that. This is good. But there are some cases which I hear from my friends that suppose wife and husband are there. The wife suddenly goes away and follows the spirituality, neglecting the children, neglecting the husband. Like husband sometimes does that. So that way, once you are committed to a grihastha ashrama and you are married and you have children, then you can't say, I will run away from everybody and leave everything and go away. Even if you go, protect them, secure them, give sufficiently what you want to provide to them so that their progress, their education, their life is not obstructed and they are not thrown onto the streets. Then you go and do like that. What I mean to say is, when you are committed in one particular type of living, you cannot hurt the people there. But if you are unmarried, you have to convince your father and mother, it's okay. Suppose you have a girlfriend, you have to tell your girlfriend that, I am going to go in divine way. Please out of your compassion, forgive me and permit me. That also is possible. That you can't say that, no, they will get hurt. I will stop practicing this. I will not do that. I will only follow what they want. You cannot satisfy anybody. Totally. Impossible. And actually, they out of their purity will attain the happiness and peace. Our presence may help them to do so. So, according to my understanding, if you are committed to following the path of integrity, integral spirituality, you should pursue it. And of course, you have to convince the people around you, make them understand the importance of your commitment, and then do it. Suppose you are already committed to relationships, be with them. Like there are masters who have married and attained realization. There are masters who have sacrificed and attained realization. Both ways it is possible. So depending upon your situation, you can be with them, take care of them, do your duty towards them, do your work also, do your family duties and responsibilities also. Yet you, in the free time available, you can focus on spirituality and also you can progress and attain the highest. Choice is yours. Because all rishis were married. All rishis were very high level.
Yeah.
They were married. They had the children. They attained also. So there are masters with relationships they attain, without relationships they attain. What matters most to you is how best you will be focused on your spiritual path. That is very important.
Yeah. This lifetime, initially, I had a very monastic inclination. I thought, to become a spiritual practitioner, I have to become a monk. I have to leave everything behind. But as I have grown over the years, that has changed, and I've come to realize, as Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita, and as Dr. Hawkins teaches, that renunciation is really inner
Internal.
renunciation of falsehood, and it can take the form of external renunciation, but does not need to. And in fact, there's an added advantage to being in the world, engaged in the world, where, as you said, everything in the world can become a teacher to help us turn within to that which is changeless. So I understand this intellectually, and I have committed to. I'm married, and I'm a professor, and I've committed to this path of being a householder in the world, living within the spiritual context, contextualizing everything from a spiritual perspective. But I do think there's still a part of me, a small part of me, that I intuit that thinks or believes that I have somehow betrayed the spiritual path by getting married, by being so engaged in the world, in all of these worldly pursuits. There's a small part of me that thinks that I have. Do you know the story of the Buddha?
Yes.
When the Buddha and he and 5 other renunciants for 6 years practiced in extreme austerity. They starved themselves, they deprived themselves of even the basic human necessities. And then the Buddha eventually found out that this is not the way. And so he took some food, took some, I think it was kheer from a village girl. And the 5 other renunciants thought that the Buddha had abandoned the pathway because he ate some food. So I think there's a part of me, a small part of me, that believes that by getting married, by being engaged in the world, by being engaged in worldly pursuits, I have abandoned the pathway. And I don't know how to convince it that no, that is not so, that I have not abandoned, rather that my whole life has become spiritual. And being engaged in the world is not an obstruction to
Very true. See,
spirituality.
the spiritual teachers have said, one of my masters also has told me, Grihastha Ashrama is the sacred ashrama of all. Please understand. See, Brahmacharya ashrama, where a person is a celibate from 1 to 25 years, then undergoes all education, all equipment, training, and all that. Then 25 to 50 approximately is a married life, begetting children, establishing house, and then taking care of them and all that. Then 50 to 75 is Vanaprastha ashrama, where you remain in Grihastha, but become more oriented towards spiritual practices, penances, purifications, little bit of detachments and all that. 75 to 100, absolute renunciation, total sannyasa. This is how it is. So, for all other 3 ashramas, Brahmacharya ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama, Sannyasa ashrama, who supports them? Who takes care of them? It is grihastha only.
Mhm.
It is only married people who invite sannyasins also, who take care of unmarried people also, who take care of people who are in vanaprastha, more oriented towards spiritual practices also. Please, this is the most sacred of ashrama. You are in one of the best practices in life because this supports the whole structure of the society. Anybody coming for you, come for food also, for security also, for maintenance also, for donation also, for support also. It is only Grihastha Ashrama. You take care of your wife also, kids also, family also, relatives also, parents also, their old age also. And yet, you still continue the spiritual path. Your path is even more difficult than the path of a celibate also. Why? Because there is only one focus there. Here you have to be multi-focused here and satisfy everybody, appease everybody, soothe everybody, comfort everybody. Yet you have to continue to practice. It is not very easy path. So you have never gone away from the spirituality. Every single being you are touching in this life, you are divinizing that person, supporting that person, improving that person, helping that person to evolve by your proximity, by your love, caring, sharing, serving, dedicating yourself. You are not at all different from that life. But this is a different way of living. That is a different way of living. But God is never away from both. God is in your kids also, He is in your wife also, He is around you also, He is watching you always. Always He is conscious of you, whether it is spiritual path in a sannyasi way or this way. So this is no way lesser than that path of renunciation, even more sacred than that, because you take care of all other ashramas. Grihastha ashrama takes care of all other ashramas. So I feel that you are never away from spiritual path or pursuit. You have never cheated yourself by taking up this life. No way. You have selected a more practical way where you are living. Every moment itself will tell you how much pure you are, how much loving you are, how much forgiving you are. Yeah, every relationship gives you an opportunity to practice let go, forgiving, compassion, love. Every second you are confronted with challenges to practice, choose spiritual way or worldly way, compromise or be convinced and committed. So where can you find that kind of a living where every relative, every experience, every moment is always a teaching for you? And people attained through this way. And Sri Krishna had married, rishis have married, Dr. Hawkins was married. At the same time, there are others who remained renunciates. It depends upon individual, person to person. But you having chosen this, don't entertain any thought that you have come away from that. You are never away from that. You can never go away from spirituality or divinity. You are always in it, you are always with it. And remember, your gurus who taught you now, who were guiding you before in your earlier births, they will not leave you. They will still follow you. They will still be connected with you. They will be watching you. The moment you need the guidance, God and gurus will give you that guidance, will uplift you, will support you, and take you to the higher levels of evolution. This is truth, and this will happen.
Thank you, Swamiji. Um, I have a few more questions. One, um, now that you are a teacher yourself and you teach other spiritual aspirants, what do you see as, and in your own life, some of the ideas about spirituality that beginners may have that are incorrect or there are limitations? So, for instance, in your own life, what did you believe about spirituality earlier on that now, decades later, you see as, oh, that was incorrect or that was a limitation?
I used to, as a spiritual practitioner, expect others also to be strict in the spiritual values. Suppose if a role or responsibility was given, which was given to me to be the in charge of many centers and take care of many spiritual practitioners, I used to insist that they all should be strictly following that. Then slowly I understood which is not possible. It is not possible. You cannot expect everybody to follow, have the same inspiration, have the same enthusiasm. They have their limitations, they have their shortcomings, just as I had initially my own limitations and shortcomings. Not being able to tolerate the kind of changes in the people and all that. So like that, it's when initially there will be so many expectations in people whom I interact with also. And even after following spirituality for few years also, sometimes I come across people who are following the teachings and say, I want more name, I want more fame, I want more returns, I want more authority, I want more power, I want more money, wealth, property, like that. So what happens? Spiritual path, actually we choose to let go of all these things. If they come, they let them come. If they don't come, let them not come. You can try, but if they don't come, don't feel that you are lost. Don't compare yourself with others that they have, I don't have. So if that kind of attitude is there, then again, in the name of spirituality, we are compromising and we are running after the same things which people who are not practicing strict spirituality are also doing the same thing. Like that, not only the people who listen to teaching, sometimes you see these things in the people who teach you also. Sometimes, because like a father is not all that perfect. Sometimes children also teach father, mother,
Mm.
parents, like that. So doesn't mean that grandfather is all wise. He might be wise, but sometimes a grandkid also can enlighten a grandfather. Like that, I come across some teachers also who focus less on spirituality after so many years and focus more on money, more on power, more on authority, more on favoritism, more on likes and dislikes, and compromise with the values. So when I saw these kinds of things around me, then I understood I cannot expect, this expectation itself will a flaw in me. I cannot expect whether they are higher than me or lower than me in the path of spirituality. I cannot expect everybody to be perfect. This is not possible. So, whatever they are, I accept them, and then whatever I want to gain from them, let me gain from them, rather than insisting in my mind that imperfection is there, imperfection is here. Like a powerful spiritual person told me, only the people who follow me can remain here. Otherwise, you get out. So, what does that mean? So, following me is more important than following the God, following the teaching, following the scriptures. Because of my power, I want only loyal people around me. Even in spiritual path, I have seen some people saying like that. Some people following that. Only the people who praise, only the people who apply butter and all that, they are given preferences and choices because of the power. So, these kind of things, when you see, you understand, oh, world is not same everywhere. Even in spiritual path also there are limitations and shortcomings. Oh, I see to it that I don't have these things in me. I don't allow others to experience these things in me when I see others like that. So that way, integrity is most important, purity is more important. So if I am clear about what I want to seek as a practice of the spiritual path, integrity, I have to own that I have to be integrous. Then everything else good will happen in the path of spirituality. So what I understood now, that forget about all insistences, all expectations, and all kinds of imaginations you have about relationships. Just take what is good in them and just let go of what is not appealing to you as good in them. Whatever their limitation, whatever their compromises with values are there, some attachments are there with power, position, name, fame, numbers, number games, like that. Some people have come across in the spiritual path. I don't have that many views as others have. So for that, I may utilize the unhealthy means to increase my views by paying some money to others. That other competitor has 10,000 views, I have only 1,000 views. So let my views become 10,000 in 6 months span. So I pay some money. Like these things are there. People nowadays think socially, if you don't compete, your survival is questioned at stake. What spirituality are we following if we have that kind of things in our mind? So that way, let them be as they want to be, whatever they are. At least if I am not like that, I am happy that I am following the spiritual path without falling a prey to these worldly insistences and demands and competitions and number games, whether it is money or whether it is people who follow or whether it is views, whatever it might be. If you are a genuine person, you follow the spiritual truth and practice it, results will come like shadows. Swami Chinmayananda used to tell me, you walk, move ahead in path of spirituality. Don't look back and see whether your shadow is following you or not. The worldly results are like shadows. Don't look back. It will come, and it is not important whether it comes or not. Our other spiritual teachers like Darga Swamiji also told me that these kinds of things are not important. You focus on your service and you practice and love and then dedication with which, surrender with which you serve the society. That's all is important. That's it. That kind of maturity will come over the period of years where you stop expecting all these things in all people. That brings lot of immense peace. And at times it will be tested, because closest to people will give greatest shocks in life.
Mhm.
Closest to people only. They are so close, and you think that they are so good, they're so pure, they're so spiritual. Suddenly something manifests in them which will send shocks. At that time, you should have maturity to understand, to assimilate all that situation, and yet forgive, and yet continue to love. Maybe if the distance is required, move away from that person, allow the person to mature for a time, again go back to the person, or allow the person to come back. All these things I have learned only through practice over the years. Initially, I used to think everything should be perfect, because my teacher told me, when you come to a spiritual ashram, it is like a hospital. When you come to a hospital, you don't find more doctors, you find more patients. So when you come to a spiritual ashram, you find more ill people here.
Mhm.
So they all are like that. Don't think all doctors will be there, all gods will be there around you, and you will have a heavenly life. No, it is not like that. Everybody around you is also like you only, with different likes and dislikes, and different characters, and different mental levels, purity, impurity, and all that. So this is like a hospital, spiritual hospital, where doctors are few, patients are many. So like that, world also is like that. So we have to accept the fact and go ahead. It needs maturity. It needs number of years of spiritual practice to get all this under your practice, and say, I accept everybody as they are. No insistences of any kind. Let them be as they want to be. Let me be totally spiritual. This kind of maturity comes only after some time. That's what I felt. I may be wrong. I may be corrected. That's how I feel.
And you've already talked about this various times today, but it seems to me that you define spirituality as living out spiritual values.
Yes.
It's about value-based living. Would you list those values? What are the spiritual values?
Like simple values, but everybody say, you love people for what they
Mhm.
are, and you forgive people. Be gentle, be kind, be sincere, be honest, be truthful to the extent possible. So these kind of things, if we practice, how good it will be. Simple things. Don't disturb others, cause inconvenience to others. Don't cause any kind of inconvenience to others by your thought or word or deed. How beautiful it will be to practice these values. So these are all simple values which Mahatma Gandhi also listed out. In Sri Krishna also listed out in a few specific chapters, like qualities of a Sitapragna in the second chapter, qualities of a highest devotee in the 12th chapter, qualities of a person who has transcended all qualities, all kinds of qualities of in 14th chapter, gunatita sthiti, or parabhakta sthiti, or sitapragna sthiti. Like that, it is, these are the values, spiritual practices by which we evolve, and by which we also understand how the other person also is pure or not. That much of limited way we can understand, but ultimately only God knows, only realizer master knows. So that is how values which are there all around in our scriptures, serving selflessly, like that, all around. These simple values will take us to great levels of spirituality.
And Swamiji, do you think about the death of the body at all? And how do you think about it?
When the time comes, we have to leave. That is unavoidable. And after, as Dr. David R. Hawkins says, the moment of our birth, the time for death also is fixed, decided. So anyway, it will happen. Death, it will happen. I have to leave the body. And I have seen how my father left the body also. Just, I was there when he was leaving the body. So intimate experiences also. See, I have seen my teachers also leave the body. So the point is, I have to leave the body. This is a must and necessity. And this is not my property, actually. This is only temporarily, it's an instrument given to me. And let it come, let the death be there, let it take away. What does it matter to me? When the time comes, it vanishes, it disappears, it disintegrates. Let it go. I consider this only as an instrument. I consider this only as an opportunity given to me to utilize this body, to play my part, to evolve spiritually and go. Because this time immemorial, I had been, according to our scriptures, according to our teachings, according to great masters, I had been getting all the kinds of bodies time and again. So again and again, bodies will come and bodies will go. This is a temporary sojourn that I am here. So this is how I have to deal with my body.
Well, thank you so much, Swamiji. I really appreciated our conversation today and everything you had to share. Thank you.
Thank you.
so
God
much.
bless you.